Okay, so we're making a St. Patrick's Day sweater today. I am using Karen Cakes, their lightweight yarn. Number 3. This cake is called Spearmint, and I've chosen a dark green, a middle green, and a light green, all from the same ball. All right, and we're going to use a size 3 hook. Now, if you're making this sweater for a bigger size, like a child or an adult, I would up your hook size to a 5 and use anything over 4. Or let's start the yarn around, go through the magic circle, okay, we're going to pull through once, pull through twice. That's your first DC. Now I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to do 3 DCs. 1, 'kay, so there's just 3 DCs. Now we're gonna do, or double crochet 2 chains, then we're gonna do another 3 DCs. So basically what we're doing right now is we're gonna have 6 clusters of 3. Okay, so I chain 2, now I'm gonna do another 3 double crochet. So basically, if you know how to do a granny square, you know how to do this. Okay, we're chaining another 2. Chain 2. We're gonna do one more cluster of 3. We're gonna end with a cluster of 2 and join back to our 1 that we left. Okay, we're gonna chain 2, and then we're gonna do our last 2 crochets for this row, or round, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we're gonna make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this plus this is 6. So we're going to tighten our magic loop magic ring. So, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first one. And then we're going to slip stitch into the chain 2 space. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up the loop a little bit, wrap it around, put it through the chain 2 space, pull the loop through, then we're gonna that, and then we're gonna pull it through again. Okay, we're gonna chain 2, and then we're gonna do our first cluster of 3. I'm calling them clusters, I don't know. It's just like crocheting a granny square. If you know how to make a granny square, you can definitely do this. So we did a chain 3, we did a double crochet cluster of 3. We're going to chain 2, and then in that same space we're going to put another cluster of 3. Okay, now we're at the next chain 2 space. We're working in all of the chain 2 spaces this round. We're going to do another cluster of 3. Chain 2. Another cluster of 3. So you should be able to see your hexagon take shape. So there's one side, 2 side, and we're working on the 3rd side now. Okay, so we're in the next chain 2 space. Chain 2, and then another cluster of 3. So that's all you're doing is put 2 cluster of 3s, well, 1 cluster of 3, chain 2, and another cluster of 3 in each of the chain 2 spaces from the previous row. It's super simple. Okay, so we're at the last full chain 2 space. We're gonna do 3 clusters, cluster of 3, chain 2, a cluster of 3, Okay, so we're back at the beginning. Remember how we only did one there, so we have to put 2 more to make it a cluster of 3. So 1, 2, there we go. See, it's starting to take shape there. Okay, we're just gonna slip stitch into the hole, and then the next one is basically the same thing. You don't have to do it like you could probably. You don't have to do it this way. I like doing that weird double crochet. I don't know what it's called. I call it a wraparound crochet. You could chain 3 and it would work out the same way. Or you could probably do a stacked crochet, a single crochet too, and it'd still work out. Okay, so we did our first one. So, and then see this next hole? We're gonna pop 1 cluster of 3 there. And then we're gonna continue on. This is the corner. So all the corners will be a cluster of 3, chain 2, a cluster of 3. Okay, so this is your first side. It is a cluster of, well, technically it will be a cluster of 3 here, cluster, chain 2, cluster of 3. Then in the space, you only put 1. And then in the corner again, you'll put the cluster of 3, chain 2, the cluster of 3. And then see, there's that hole again. We'll put a cluster of 3. And then we're at the corner again. And we're gonna do a cluster of 3, chain 2, a cluster of 3. Okay, so you can continue on with this row, and I'll meet you back when I get to the last couple stitches. Okay, so I'm back at the end. So we've got to do our 2 double crochet to finish off the cluster. Okay. And this is where I'm going to switch yarn. So I'll show you how I do that. I'm going to grab the darker color. Okay, I'm just gonna do my wrapped crochet, double crochet, sorry. Okay, and then I'm gonna turn it over I'm just going to tie a knot. And this way I don't have to worry about when I go to cut the threads. So we're going to chain 2. Then we're going to do our cluster of 3. Okay, so that's that. And I'm going to flip it back over and I'm going to cut this one off for right now. I could probably cut them both off. Okay, so see how we've grown? So there's going to be the cluster of 3 there, the 2, chain chain 2 there, and then the cluster there, and then there's a space here and a space here, and then you're at the corner. So we're going to put a cluster here. And a cluster here at the next hole or space. And then we're at the corner again, so then we're going to do a cluster of 3, chain 2, and a cluster of 3. And that's all it is repeating that. And just these ones will grow as you go along. Each row will have one more in it. Okay, so those who want to jump ahead that know how to do the hexagon, we're gonna do 8 rows and then I'll show you how to put it together or sew it together. Or I'll show you how I sew mine together. It's rather simple, but I think it looks nice. So continue on with this row and I'll meet you back when I have 2 left. Okay, so I'm back at the beginning and we're just going to do our 2 double crochets to attach. And a slip stitch in here into the first one, and then a slip stitch into the chain 2 space. And that is your 4th row. So for the 5th and 6th row, we're going to change back to the medium green. I'm just going to do it the same as I did it the last row. Then I'm just gonna flip it around and tie it. do our cluster of 3. And then I just pull them to the side. This pattern, these granny squares, hexagons, whatever, they work up really fast. So I think it takes me about 3 hours to do one sweater. Somewhere between 2 and 4 hours. It all depends on what kind of whether I want to do like a border or all that, right? So we're at the corner again, so we're going to do a cluster of 3, chain 2, a cluster of 3. Okay, and then I will meet you back when I'm at the end of the row. Okay, I'm back at the beginning again. We're just gonna do our 2 double crochets here. Slip stitch. And slip stitch. And that was round 5. And we're just going to continue on for round 6 in the same color. Okay, we're starting row 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, row 6. Okay, here we go. Let's take that away. Okay, we're gonna do the pull wrap around double crochet, chain 2, our double crochet cluster, okay, we're going to put a cluster in here. Cluster in here. Another cluster. I've tried to crochet a little bit slower for the video, but I don't know if it's working. Okay, now we're at the corner. We're going to do a cluster, chain 2, cluster. And then we're going to repeat to to the end of the row, or round, or whatever. So I'll meet you back at the end of the round or a row or whatever. Okay, we're back at the end here. Okay, slip stitch and slip stitch again. We get to change colors here.